Okay, we better kick off. It's all a bit disturbing because you don't quite know who's there. No. Okay, do you want to put the agenda up, please?
Yeah.
So, welcome everyone to our second virtual AGM. We looked at the feedback from last year and decided this approach was an effective way to carry out the AGM. Just to remind people, this meeting will be recorded and made available on the NBN website in due course. Sarah just putting up the agenda. Apologies for absence, minutes, etc. Short presentation from myself on the annual report. Presentation from Roddy on the accounts. We have one item of business, appointment of accountants. Resolution which comes up later, and then time for Q&As at the end. Just turning to the first of those, I think all the trustees should be present, and I saw Lisa just now, so Lisa is with us. Also, just if there are any comments, otherwise I would approve the minutes from last year. There were no actions coming out of those, but I'll approve the minutes unless...
Neil, can I just interrupt? It's Giselle.
Hi, Giselle.
Belinda's got her hand up, so I didn't know if Belinda needed to say anything. She's one of the trustees, okay. Or is that... Sorry. I can't unmute her, so I don't know. But...
I'll try and unmute her if you need me to.
Oh, she's put her hand down now, so I think it might have been a mistake. Sorry, Leo, carry on.
I think she might have just been...
Oh, no.
She's gone up again.
Right. Yeah, Janice, if you could unmute Belinda, that would be good.
Belinda, you should be able to speak now.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, Belinda.
Yeah, I was just going to suggest just to allow the trustees to use their cameras and microphone, because we should really be present, and we are present. I just think that would be polite and sensible to members for the AGM. The AGM is an important meeting for the trust.
If they could all maybe raise their hands, and I can do that in the interim while we progress.
And while we're doing that, I'll touch briefly on the board constitution of it. As I mentioned last year, Helen Wilkinson, after 6 years, and Liz Proctor stepped down as trustee. More recently, Andrew Wood, who many of you will know, has stepped down as trustee after a long period, both on the board and as a long stint as treasurer. I will say more about that later in the wider conference. We've got fewer people perhaps here at the AGM, but I'd like to recall my thank you to Andrew for all his support and the time spent both as treasurer, operational and financial issues, and helping the trust evolve and the network evolve over the last his period of 14 years. No, I'd like to welcome to their first AGM new trustees who were appointed earlier this year. We've got Terence Jagger, David Slauson, Camilla Taylor and Pete Tomlin. We also appointed a fifth trustee, Peter Bridgewater, who unfortunately for personal reasons already had to step down as he had to return to Australia for personal reasons. And the trustees are with us today should people have specific questions appropriate for those trustees or for the trustees, and there are short bios of each of the trustees, including the new trustees, on our website, and they join Rod Fairley, who is our treasurer, Wilma Harper, Melinda Howell, Matt Fossils and Mandy Rudd. Joe Judge stepped down as CEO, as you all be aware, to be replaced by Lisa. And Joe stepped down during the course of last year, so it's important to mention Joe and to thank her for all the support over the years, and particularly during the last strategic period for the NBN Trust, and wish her well in her new role. And personally, thoroughly enjoyed working with Joe. And I'm sure many in the network will wish her well. I would draw your attention to the annual report, which she doesn't just organise conferences, she also produces annual reports, Mandy Henshaw, which was published yesterday. And thank you very much to Mandy for tirelessly pulling that together, as well as working on the conference. I will just draw out a couple of points from that before we turn to the financials with Roddy. Obviously, the organisation, like organisations large and small globally, have it's not been an easy time, backed up with the backdrop of the pandemic. And I'd like to thank the staff for adapting and giving their all to help ensure that the trust does what it needs to do during the year, and to ensure the development and growth of the network. So thank you very much to all the staff in difficult times and for adapting. Particular mention again to Mandy, who stepped up as interim CEO before Lisa's arrival in April. And Lisa joined in the nick of time to free Mandy up to organise the conference. So we're very fortunate, and Mandy has had an extremely busy year, and thank you for all your support, Mandy. Despite the significant change that I've talked about at a governance level and a CEO level, and with the pandemic backdrop, a few small indicators which are important. I think, as we heard in the wider conference this morning, these aren't the be all and end all by any manner of means, but they are nonetheless important. 5% increase in data providers, which is extremely important, that we are tapping into data providers, and a 29% year-on-year increase in users of the Atlas, which if it's being used, that is a hugely important figure. The trust became the UK node of the iNaturalist app. The trust also being part of the study team to support the publication in April of the report prepared by the Cabinet Office, Geospatial Commission sponsored, mapping the species data pathway, connecting data flow in England. And also there's been input from the trust and important work on the Scottish Biodiversity Information Forum's report, better biodiversity data from source to sea, and taking that topic forward. There's a lot of rich detail in the annual report, and as I say, I'd encourage people to take a look at that. And there's some good case studies from individuals around the network. I will hand over now to Pete, the Treasurer, to give an overview of the finances.
Thank you, Neil. I think what I'm going to say will, as has been for the past 3 years, a bit of a repetition of what I've said at previous meetings, because the outturn last year, as shown in the accounts, is actually quite a satisfactory, and in some respects quite a reassuring performance financially, for the organisation. But, and this is what I always say, it's always dangerous to drive with your eyes firmly in the rear mirror. One has to look ahead as well. I was grateful for Pete's question to Ollie in the earlier proceedings, because looking around for reassurance from some of our existing funders is as important to us at the moment as actually securing new sources of funding, so as we can, as we necessarily must, grow from where we are if we're going to be able to satisfactorily meet the challenges of the world, even at the UK level, to which, of course, we dedicate our main services, although we have to recognise that we are one of the steps towards GBIF as well. So there is that global dimension to what we do. But it is certainly true that it's a bit ironic that just as everybody in the world is beginning to recognise the value that nature has and the importance for us all to pay singularly more attention to it than we have been in recent decades, is just a time when actually our future finances look a bit uncertain, and certainly aren't in the position where we would be confident yet that necessary growth that I was referring to. So there are plans afoot, and we are moving entirely, hopefully forward. But there is no certainty that growth will happen at the pace that we think that it should, and therefore quite a bit of effort on our behalf, our group behalves, across the whole of the network, to ensure proper recognition of the funding needs of what we're doing, as indeed Craig was saying as well, is part of what we need to do into the future. But in terms of this AGM and our recognition of our financial performance up until the end of the financial year noted in the accounts, I can absolutely recommend approval to the whole of the organisation and the whole of the network. Thanks, Neil.
Thanks, Roddy. Turning to the next point, can we have the resolution up, please, Sarah? So we've just got the one resolution, appointment of the accountants. If Sarah puts the resolution up, the Board of Trustees recommends the appointment of Rogers Spencer as accountants for the financial year 2022-23, and the trustees shall fix their remuneration. Just to record the voting, members eligible to vote 252, votes received 40. We therefore have the quorum, which is 20, in favour 30, plus I would vote my proxies in favour, which is 39, against none, and abstention 1. So that which is an ordinary resolution.
Sorry, Sarah, the screen isn't shared.
Is passed. Yeah, I've read that. Thank you. Yeah, I've read that out, so people are aware of the resolution. So I think we ought to quickly turn to any Q&As. I did notice. I think was it Michael Pocock, did I see, with a hand up? Michael, is that right?
No, he's just been upgraded to a presenter. That was all, Neil.
Ah, right. Okay.
Question.
Okay. Do we have any other questions in coming in, or?
Yeah, there's just David Slauson, one of the trustees, saying he can hear, but he can't connect with his camera. But there's no actual questions.
No questions. I can't see any hands up. Looking at it. If that's the case, I will say thank you very much for attending, and we start again at the main conference at 15:15. So I look forward to seeing you then. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Could you see my slides then or not? No.
No.
What's going on? Sorry. Yeah, they said they were showing at my end. Strange.
Okay. Right. Thanks for putting that together, Sarah and Giselle. Thank you.
Thank you.
See you later.